Hello everyone, this is Taylor Edrington with Royal Gorge Anglers in Canyon City, Colorado. Royal Gorge Anglers is the oldest fly shopping guide service on the Arkansas River and only Orvis endorsed outfitter on the Arkansas River Basin. Thanks so much for viewing here. Wanted to give you all a nice little report for November. It's already November, believe it or not, and although it doesn't really feel like it. I woke up this morning 7 a.m. and it's, around 60 degrees out there already. So extremely temperate weather as we've moved into November. Obviously, I'm sure, we will see our fair share of weather throughout the month. But do remember, here on the Arkansas River and specifically on the Canyon City section and Lower Bighorn Sheep Canyon, we are in the banana belt of Colorado, typically 10 degrees warmer than Salida upstream, 10 to 20 degrees warmer than the high country, and many times 10 degrees warmer than the Front Range. So our season is definitely extended considerably past a lot of rivers in the state. The Arkansas continues to fish well through November. Still have bug activity, and as fish continue to spawn, kind of finish up spawning and come off into post-spawn, fish feed heavily. Typically that occurs in November, coming off of that spawning time period, and fish are looking to gain back calories just as they have done through the, spawning time period and pre-spawn, especially trying to, stock up for that activity. And as far as bug activity is concerned, we'll see a continuation of blue-winged olive activity throughout the water column, along with hatches during the right conditions. Not the giant hatches you see in September and October. These kind of pseudo hatches are, definitely more prevalent during those overcast days, as is typical with the blue-winged olives. As far as midges are concerned, we see them pretty much every day hatching, in October, November, and even December. Midges like the bright sun, so typically we'll see those bugs hatching in the morning, and fish can definitely be keyed on those spot hatches of midges. We do see a return to heavy feeding on stoneflies in the nymph stage, and larger stoneflies typically are more productive in the month of November and December. We do obviously focus on midge larva, midge pupa, and BWO nymphs throughout the months of November and December. And like I said, if this weather holds up, which today being November 4th, we expect in the next 10 days highs in the 60s every day, and even warmer on some days. So those are all great days to get on the water. Still maintaining water temperatures in the low 40s, and fish are actively feeding. So it's definitely a great time to be out there. Take advantage of that before the weather does approach. So the other, cool thing about fishing in November is, right now I believe we're kind of in, at least 30% of the fish or more are spawning actively, so they're very territorial and aggressive. So throwing streamers is a great method. We'll take a look at some bugs here, but first we do want to spotlight kind of what flows are going to be looking like for the remainder of the winter. Starting this week, actually starting today, they're going to increase flows, increase releases rather out of Twin Lakes in anticipation of spring water coming in. They will start what they call their winter drawdown in the reservoirs, and they'll begin to release a little bit of water out of Twin Lakes. So we will see an increase in flow on the Arkansas, which is a good thing. We're all kind of ready for that with the really, really low water over the last two months. You know, fishing has been very, very technical. We should see flows, you know, by Friday, right at around 600 CFS in Upper Bighorn Sheep Canyon, maybe slightly less in the Lower Bighorn Sheep Canyon. And we will probably see flows maintain in that 650 CFS range throughout the winter. There's a couple reasons for that, obviously. Number one, moving water in anticipation for spring runoff into the upstream reservoirs, have to make room for that. But the reason why we move in the winter is because it keeps the water temperature considerably warmer. It's that same kind of effect, you know, it takes longer to freeze, you know, a lot of water than it does a little water. Same in the summer, why we run, you know, a little bit higher flows in the summer and release a little bit more water to keep the water cooler. It takes, you know, more time for more water to get warm. So kind of the same effect, and that's kind of why we situate that water movement in the winter down to, you know, Pueblo Reservoir and downriver from there. So expect flows to increase at, you know, around 20%. Obviously, we're very, very low right now at 400 CFS. It's as low as you're going to ever see this river, really. We even saw 300 CFS earlier. So expect flows to bump a bit. We're really, you know, kind of looking forward to that as guides because fish are going to be a little bit less technical with a little more water. And it also gives you opportunities to float in November if you'd like to do that. So let's kind of take a peek at some rigging. Typically, our guides are doing best with double and triple nymph rigs if they're not observing other bug activity. If there's midges coming off, you know, we're gonna fish, you know, those midge dries if fish are on them. If there's BWOs coming off, we're gonna fish those dries. We'll take a look real quickly at a couple of dry fly patterns that we really like here, and do keep in mind also, we are going to be placing every single pattern that we carry, which there's a lot of local patterns that we tie here locally. There's a lot of patterns you're not going to find anywhere. All of the highest quality. We carry Umpqua, you know, Rainey's Solitude, the highest quality brand names, as well as locally tied flies. Really one of the last fly shops out there to have commercial tires on staff. So keep in mind here that in the next 3 weeks we will be placing every single pattern that we sell in shop online. You can buy them in 6 counts, that's the minimum, but you can pick those up online at your leisure and shop those flies. Take a look at dries real quick. Looking at what's going to be, you know, continuing through November and December. Midges are going to be a focal point. Sprout midge, great dry fly. The darker of the dries. And then the paramidge is a really, really good fly. It's got the high vis post as well. Obviously, these are both size 20, 22s. A little bit larger midge, the Arkansas midge, which is tied here locally by Larry Kingery. We do have larger midges that come off throughout the winter and especially in the spring and fall. Um, and that's Larry Kingery's Arkansas midge dry there. In the blue-winged olive category, a few patterns that we've really been focusing on lately on those overcast days, and there are some overcast days coming this week, and obviously when we get a little bit more winter type weather and have overcast, maybe even some snow flurries, and in November we're not seeing those brutal cold temperatures, and so if we get a snow shower kind of come through, that's a great time to fish BWO dries because blue wings hatch heavily in snow showers. So Quigley's Film Critic, great fly, very visible. And then the Hackle Stacker has been one that we've continued to just do extremely well with, especially when fish are picky. Great fly. And the Comparadun, which we, tie here locally, the Comparadun's just a fantastic fly, especially the way we tie it here. Larry ties it for us, Larry Kingery, who is our local Umpqua designer. Great fly. And, as far as nymphing is concerned, which I would say is going to be your most productive method, the majority of the time. And like I said, if you're not seeing bugs coming off and you're not seeing fish on emergers or what have you, you really want to focus on your nymphs. On the bottom, typically, in our guides are running triple rigs, at least until they figure out what fish are on for the dropper fly. Typically running our midges on the bottom, and we like a lot of midge pupa on this river. One being the frostbite midge. Jujube midge is a great midge as well. Another I'd like to spotlight here is Garcia's Rojo. And we fish these a little larger, 18s and 20s on this river, and sometimes the frostbites will fish in a 16. There are some big midges on this river. As the middle fly, we're going to focus on our BWO in the light olive coloration, which really, when it's wet, gets considerably darker. The 2-bit hooker's one of our standbys. The splat betas in that dark olive. That's Shay Gunkel's pattern on Umpqua Designer, also a local guy here. The Anatome continues to be a fantastic fly for us. And one that's really turned on here as of late, and it fishes as a midge, fishes as a BWO as well, is Mike Mercer's Little Brown Bug. Just a little good general attractor. And then a lot of caddis larvae, free swimming caddis larvae in the water column right now. And so we can substitute this in and out for that middle fly, and that's Barr's Uncased Caddis here. And then another really great fly is the Bonsai Bug. Those are both just larger caddis larvae that we like, and a couple patterns that are really productive here during this time period. And looking at stoneflies, like I said, we're really focusing on larger stoneflies. In the winter months, we want to get down. When we're nymphing, we want to get down quick. Fish really respond well to larger stonefly nymphs in November, and very productive feeding on this stuff. My number one large stonefly is the two-tone stone. Great pattern. Also in that lightly coloration, or lighter coloration, the Biot stone. Fantastic fly. Going darker, tied here locally by Larry Kingery again, Yarn Thorax. Perfect fly, the 20-incher. And one that's really a standout right now for us, and a little bit smaller than the ones we've spotlighted thus far, but the rubber-leg copperjohn, and that is the black version, but it's got a great black and olive wire body. And again, like I said, streamers are going to be fantastic through the month of November. Fish are still territorial, still aggressive. Get out there with a tandem rig, 2 flies, heavy tippet, heavy leader, poly leader is what we suggest, and 1x or 2x to these flies. What we're liking for lead flies are tan or natural colored flies. Some that we really like, one that's been a breadwinner for me is the standard Ganga in that tan and yellow. The Space Invader is another great fly. And then, the baby Ganga, which is a little variation of that bigger Ganga, but it's got the 2 hooks, okay? So, articulated fly there. And then dropping a bow face is typically my best method. This is John Barr's fly. It's just a pretty simple tungsten bead bunny leech with a little flash in it. That's the olive bow face and the black bow face. So we've kind of covered best methods. Doesn't mean you can't go out there and throw a dry copper dropper or a dry dropper and do well. Especially on warm days, fish are going to be, further up in the water column and feeding on the nymphs that we've talked about in mid-water column or even subsurface. So you can definitely run a dry dropper if you like to do that right now. But we'd say best method is, focusing on the double nymph, triple nymph, and then running, your caddis larva or BWO nymph middle, and dropping some type of midge larva, midge pupa. We do prefer the midge pupa style. And then, of course, keep some dries on you. Midges hatching, BWOs hatching on the right days. But long story short, continue to fish through November. I can't tell you, a lot of people quit fishing in October, and some of our better fishing can continue into November. Really, I've seen no change in weather or productivity here to start November, and like I said, with flows increasing just a hair, we expect for, fishing to continue to be very, very productive through November. There are really many Thanksgiving days that I spend on the Arkansas, and very, very productively. So do come out and enjoy this fantastic weather that we've got right now currently. And as we move through November and into December, do keep in mind that the Arkansas fishes 365 days a year. So while we do have a fantastic fishery in the Arkansas tailwater, downstream, the Arkansas freestone is a great option, especially on those warmer days, which we have a lot more of in our neck of the woods. We will quickly spotlight the Arkansas tailwater, kind of what we see happening down there. It's been a struggle on the Arkansas tailwater here through the fall. Flows have been high. They're currently testing, Colorado Springs Utilities is testing an outflow system, and so flows are even higher this week. However, at the end of the first week in November, we expect for flows to come down and for them to be in the 200 or sub 200 CFS range. They expect to hold them a little bit higher through the winter this year because there is a fair amount of water in Pueblo Reservoir already, but they will do some storage in Pueblo Reservoir, and so expect for flows to come down at some point here in the very, very near future and stabilize. At that point in time, we expect for fishing to really, really get productive. And of course, the Arkansas tailwater is just a great, great option for you in the winter. And it's so close to those of you on the front range It's a really, a great fishery for you. Of course, midge activity, BWO activity in the winter, um, and good nymphing and sometimes even a little bit of streamer fishing in the winter. So if you have any questions on the Arkansas tailwater and kind of where it's coming and where it's at, and obviously right now we're still in a kind of a transition time period there, which is very late for that fishery. But give us a call, toll free 888-994-6743 if you have any questions about the Ark tailwater. We do have the oldest guide permit on the Arkansas tailwater and have been operating down there for close to 20 years. So if you want to learn that fishery and how great a winter fishery it can be, and a great option for you, do give us a call, or you can book online at www.royalgorgeanglers.com under our guided trips pane. And feel free to get in touch with us at any point in time throughout the winter, November, December, and we'd be happy to answer any questions for upcoming fishing in the spring or winter fishing around the state. We've been in business for 26 years, so we kind of have a lockdown on what's going on for your winter fishing. And, as we move out of winter, kind of forecasting that great stonefly activity in February during the stonefly molt, also BWO activity starting up in late February. We've got a lot to look forward to. So we look forward to fishing with you on North America's longest gold medal fishery, the Arkansas. And thanks so much for viewing. Do let us know if you have any questions. Again, toll free 888-994-6743. It's been my pleasure to talk to you today, and thanks so much for viewing.